Okay, we are going to do part 2 because this was so important. We just finished the conversation and it wasn't finished. So we have to go on desire. And just before we were starting, we were already talking about it and we were already in it. And Jesse was saying, well, so excited. So welcome again, Jesse.
Thank you, Yvonne. I'm
Yeah.
delighted to be here. I love how we're following our desire
Yes,
and the inspiration.
yeah. And that's I re-listened to your what you were saying last week about desire and about that everything is a desire, and we don't take that into account, that everything is a desire. So if I want to get up now and drink my water, it's a desire. How small, but it's a desire.
Yes.
And that's interesting.
Yeah, I've also been studying more just in the last week, focusing my attention here. It's like, okay, I know so much about this subject, and I can really feel more than ever before questions about this subject. So let me use this time that Yvonne and I are going to spend together to deepen. And what I was exploring, to me, feels like the criticism of desire from a spiritual standpoint, I think, which is that we will always have more desire. And I don't think I've properly honored that, actually. You know, that can be frustrating or painful to want, whether we get it or not, because we just keep wanting more.
Yeah.
To me, I don't think I've given it proper attention, because that's not where I'm not aware still of my own suffering coming from that place. Maybe that's just a blind spot for me. I'm like 20 years into my spiritual journey, but I'm like missing that thing. What I see is that, of course, like the breath, I want, it's not a conscious desire, but my body hungers for more oxygen every 5 seconds or so. So that's how I think about desire, and that there's a purity in that it is like the breath, in how primal it is, how essential it is, how human it is. It's not something that we can escape. I don't think there's any amount of spiritual practice that takes us completely out of desire, because I think it's part of what makes us human. I do think I have a better appreciation, though, more humility around how desire sort of represents the human condition in our constant seeking, constant searching, constant reaching outside ourselves. And so I think that my spiritual practice is what has purified my experience of desire, without me really working explicitly on that. I feel like I'm speaking very esoterically, but I'm just going to keep running with it and see what threads come.
But what is it then that then I was reading in the book of Ram Dass, a lovely book.
Which one?
Now we are here now.
Be here now.
Be here now.
The original.
Oh, it's a lovely book, and it's it's lovely. I'll pick it.
I was gonna say, shall I get my copy? But you show us yours, and then
this one.
Which page?
Yeah, it's about this. Oh, desire. Page 34. Desire. The first thing in my teacher's book, the first thing he ever wrote on his slate, because he was silent, was: desire is a trap. Desirelessness is moksha. liberation. Desire is the creator, desire is the destroyer, desire is the universe. And that applies to the physical plane, the astral plane, the causal plane. And then the other page is heaven, hell, demons are all the creations of desires. All the manifestations of the Divine Mother are creations of desire. That's why Naga, the naked Aztec, worked on getting Ramakrishna to go beyond his love for Kali, give up even the desire to be experiencing the bliss of being it all, of being with the Divine Mother.
So here's what I understand now about my healthy relationship to desire. Before I ever thought about desire as a topic, as a mindset thing that we could work with, I think that the first chapter in the story is that I was heartbroken all the time. Maybe lots of us feel that way, but it was almost like part of my identity. And I felt this kind of just ever-present despair, because the heartbreak was so strong that I just was like, as long as this is here, this is so, just kind of colored everything. And then I found my first meditation teacher, and I went to India, and I began to really understand the teachings of Bhakti yoga, which I approach from a very radical standpoint, but I think the essence of the teachings is the essence of the teachings, and it's in Bhagavad Gita. I mean, this is the lineage that comes out of Bhagavad Gita. And in Bhakti, we offer up everything. We offer our love, we offer our worship, we offer our bliss, but we also offer our rage and our grief and our longing and our heartbreak. And when I discovered it's like in my mind, we just put what the practice of bhakti is to put it on the altar. Whatever it is that's arising, we put it on the altar. We offer it all back. We don't hold anything for ourselves. We just put it all on the altar. That's the spiritual practice. It's almost like inhale, experience, and exhale, we put it on the altar. Oh, now I'm feeling triggered. I put that on the altar. Oh, now I'm feeling really proud. I put that on the altar. Like none of it's for me. All of it's for God. For me, it did two things. One is it felt like a useful thing. My heartbreak suddenly had a purpose. It wasn't just making me miserable. It was like really good food for God, really juice. It like did something for God. I could feel it. I was like, oh, this is taking me deeper into this relationship. That's really important because I think that there's a lot of people, me included, who consciously or unconsciously kind of internalize a false idea that we are supposed to be positive all the time, or that we're supposed to be loving all the time, or feel good all the time. That's how we measure our spiritual progress or our enlightenment. And although I still fall into those traps as well, I think it's so healing and so true. It's actually quite the opposite. It matters how we use all the others. It matters how we use all of it, but it's all for growth, all for health, all for benefit, all for God.
Yeah.
So I think that like it healed me. It healed me in a way that I didn't expect to ever experience healing. And then without me realizing it, I only kind of discovered this maybe 10 years later. It really cleaned up whatever I'm sure was dysfunctional about my relationship to desire. Because whatever desire is arising, I'm putting that on the altar too. It's not mine. But it's what I uniquely can put on the altar. I'm the one who has access to it. I'm the one who can see it. I'm the one who can pick it up and put it there.
Yeah.
So I think that all of that, it's such a beautiful thing that emerged. That's how I did what I did. That all of that was the building block or the foundation or the thing inside whatever action I was taking to go from being a high school math teacher to a multi-million-dollar business owner. That was what was operating. Oh, I have this desire, alter. Oh, I have this desire, alter. I wonder if I'm supposed to do anything. Like, are these desires supposed to actually come into form? I sure feel the attachment to them. Oh, well, I put the attachment on the altar.
Oh, yes, of course.
I don't know what's, I like, it's none of my business at some level.
No, it's more
anything else.
Yeah, it's not about you.
Yeah.
It's not about you. I was thinking about something, and the abundance book you gave me, a lovely book. And I remember when you gave this book to me, I read it and it was like, okay, I know. And I put it away. And then last year you started the 40-day prosperity plan again. And I said after day 40, it was such a routine, I thought I'd continue. So now I am already on day 387. So I'm doing it still. And when you were talking about desire, it was like, yeah, day 6 came to mind. My inner supply instantly and constantly takes on form and experiences according to my needs and desire. And as the principle of supply in action, it is impossible for me to have any needs or unfulfilled desires. So that matches absolutely what you were saying. Everything what comes up, you have to put it on the table. And I'm not doing it all the time because I'm sometimes not conscious of what I really want. But with the help of this book and the 40 days as well, it's also more really, it's not up to me. It's not about my personality van this. It's not up to me. What's coming up.
You know, I mean, you and I have talked about this, but I don't know, we didn't talk about it last week in our conversation with the people, that there's a transmission occurring underneath what we're saying. And I think anyone that's here is feeling that. That's really what they're responding to. That's why they're here. So just to make it explicit, I'm just feeling that, feeling what you're transmitting and feeling what our transmissions are weaving together. I think what I'm thinking about is how my experience of this is so simple in one way, and I also appreciate how it can feel really complicated. Specifically, I'm thinking about I want to get my book. Hold on.
Okay. Zo leuk dit, hè? Gewoon heen en weer gaan.
It is impossible for me to have any needs or unfulfilled desires. That part of abundance book, day 6. You know, I think this is why this stuff it's so important to contemplate. Maybe 6 months ago, I started doing a little study, a new study of the science of getting rich. And it was actually, I think it was right in October of 2023. So right when the beginning of this very extreme chapter in the Israel-Palestine conflict began. And And that just like changed the conversation so dramatically. The people that I was talking to were like, we can't even talk about this book. This book is so inappropriate. It was written by a white man 100 years ago who knows nothing about our lives, who has no, like, we have no reason to actually believe anything he says, because he doesn't know what it's like to be a woman. He doesn't know what it's like to be brown. He doesn't know what it's like to live in a world with this on the wrong side of injustice. He doesn't know. And I was really like, yeah, let's talk more about that. Because if it's not true for all, it's not true. And I really, I kind of took myself to task. I took the book to task. And what I found is that it's like the contemplation, feeling the transmission, which may or may not be perfectly captured in the words, and doing the work to translate it. This is really essential. So that's what I'm doing right now with 6 in my mind, is like, okay, don't skip over the question.
No.
What do you mean unfulfilled desires? I can list my unfulfilled desires right now. Would you like me to demonstrate? Like, what? It's impossible for me to have any need. It's like to lean into that with what's true, and at the same time be willing to experiment with what would it mean if that were true. What would it mean if that were true for me? What would that mean if it were true for everyone? What would it mean? And so anyway, back to this, the complexity. I feel like it's so important for people to not use that teaching to want less. Like, oh, let me practice gratitude. I don't need to want that thing that I don't have yet. There's so much to be grateful for, which there is. That's a whole huge body of real estate in our spiritual lives to really enjoy what we have, to receive what we have. I think it's important in this conversation, maybe more than ever, to also really be willing, like, crank up. What if you go find the desires that feel unfulfilled? Lean in, really, really look at those. When you put them on the altar with care. You're not just throwing random bullshit at the altar. You're putting sacred objects on the altar. What wants to be seen about that unfulfilled desire? What wants to be seen about the possibility that it's already fulfilled?
That's
What you've been contemplating this for over a year. What do you know about this?
That it is simple. That it's really leaning back. What comes up? What do I want? I don't have to dig in my brain to find something. What I thought. I thought the answer was in my brain, I was looking, I was searching for a lot of things and I didn't find it. And now it's more, there's more, the trust has entered. The trust has entered, the surrender to life. So there's no more battle. And this helps. I love this book. I just love it. And it's so small, and it's I couldn't read it 4.5 years ago, but now it's the less words I give it, the more precious it is.
And
the thing is that life always supports me, because if it wouldn't support me, I wouldn't be here. I still have a function because I'm here. So, okay, what's coming up? Oh, I want to do a masterclass. Okay, let's do that. Okay, I want a new client. Oh, where can I find a new client? Oh, someone is calling me. Oh, that's nice. That's funny. I want a new client. I was putting it out. I want a new client, and someone is coming to me. The confidence and the trust and knowing that I'm worthy of being in this world, it's so relaxing. It's so easy.
Can you say more about your journey of knowing that you're worthy in this world?
First of all, I didn't know before we were working together how profound it is to feel the worth that you are and the worth that you bring to the world. I had no idea how it felt. I had no idea where to look for it. So it's a feeling, yeah, it's comfort. It's really being comfort in yourself, being comfort in what you have to do in this world. No questioning, not worrying, what will people think of me? What will they say? It's so liberating. It's so free because you don't depend on somebody else's confirmation of yourself, or so you don't manipulate anymore. It's for me, it's like space. It's just like space.
Hmm.
And how was it for you?
I resonate with everything you're saying. I think I'm reflecting on why I haven't always felt that way,
Mm.
and what I have needed in order to heal or transform that. And I don't always know. So it's not done. You know what I mean? It's not like a completed story. I've perfected my self-worth.
Yeah, no, because there in my life as well, there are things popping up, but it's being conscious and waking up in the moment that you when I'm making myself smaller, or when I'm trying to hide, or when I'm trying to influence somebody else, or when I'm trying to control the situation. Now I know, oh fuck, something is going on. Okay, what's going on? What am I doing? Because that is putting me in a prison again. And I want to be free. I want to be free in my thinking, free in my own connection with my own worth, with my own self, with my freedom. I think it's a constant situation where we're in, and it's not a fixed thing.
Yeah, I agree. I'm really still chewing on what you said earlier about how fewer words helps.
Yeah.
And I think I am someone who I know about myself that I process verbally, which is part of what was happening earlier, for sure, that I was like, oh, it's like that because I'm talking through it. That's hopefully fun for other people, at least some of the time. But I think that this is part of why I also like have studied and made more explicit this layer of transmission, because I think so often when I'm teaching, the words are are just the music of the transmission. They're not, it's like if it's the content of the words isn't making sense yet or at all, or doesn't feel, it's like that part isn't the only layer, and maybe it's not even an important layer.
No, it's only 7% the words you speak, and the rest is it's amazing.
7%.
Mm-hmm. I love what put on your
It's
mug.
so good, right?
Is it from Kim Krans?
Mm-mm. I have a mug dealer. His name is Jonah Harger. I'm constantly, I give his mugs away. I don't think I knew him when we met, so you have not.
No.
We'll have to come meet again in person.
Yeah.
His Instagram handle is Sacred Day Clay.
Sacred Day Clay. Okay.
And I have bought as many of his mugs as I could over the last couple of years and given 80% of them away.
Wow.
And I chose this mug specifically for our time together because it's sort of like,
oh, I love them.
Subtle and goes with my outfit, but then there's that special pop.
It's amazing, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They're lovely.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna check him out.
He is a true artist. So even though he's making these very usable art, he's constantly in his process. So I'm just flagging that because you might be drawn to what he's making now or not. It's worth following him because he will go through another portal and then another, and it's beautiful.
That's also the desire to create.
Yes.
And and that's what I like about David Nagel. With The Art of Success, he explains that we are all artists.
I certainly identify that way myself.
And you, just before we were recording, your son was here. And that's a perfect creation, you created him with 3, and and that was a desire, and you created it, and you didn't know the outcome, you didn't know how he was like, you didn't know anything. That's also marvelous.
I think that's a great, very concrete and very universal example also about what makes desire complex, because we did want Kenai. We got pregnant on purpose. We wanted to have a baby, but it was not a burning desire. It was not a clear, long held desire. It wasn't a big dream for us. It was a calling. And we didn't know if we could even get pregnant. And we weren't sure if we would like being parents. There were a lot of there was a big range of feelings. And we were really clear that we were saying yes to this seed of desire that we felt was planted inside us, not the other way around. We did not plant this seed. Felt like God planted the seed. Kenai planted this seed. And we were willing to say yes to it. And I think anyone who's a parent knows what a complicated thing that is. It is not one thing. It is not only good things having a child, being a parent.
I know.
It's not even only good things getting pregnant, being pregnant, having, giving birth. Those are not even, the longer he lives, the less significant those things are in my experience.
You don't think about it anymore.
So I think that's also, there's something about the nature of desire that can feel really personal, selfish, not necessarily in a bad way, but just like for me, about me. And I think this example of a child and becoming a parent is just a nice one, because I think it points to the complexity of it in every case. I wanted to have a business. I wanted to leave public schools. I wanted to make more money. I wanted to help people. I wanted all these things. And I got to have them, and they came along with all these other things that I either didn't know I wanted or didn't particularly care for. It was like, and then in the process of both surrendering, collaborating with the divine. So this is not about me, or at least not only about me. It's about you as my client in the past, but it's also about God, the divine source, that life itself, and how we relate to that, how we live in relationship with all of that. I think it's not a trivial thing. Maybe it's not even complicated or complex. Those are the words that I've been using, but it's not trivial. It's nuanced. I can't, any more than my marriage with Shri, I can't just decide, be this person, and then he plays that role. He has his own preferences. They're not always the same as mine. That collaboration, I think there's something about that that's embedded in my experience anyway of desire always. And I think that's why in my work, so much of what I've done with all the people I've worked with, whether it was, for an hour in a workshop or over years in one-on-one coaching, is unpack what is the desire? What's the essence of it? What's the why behind it? Because sometimes we think we want something, really we're wanting something else underneath that. We just think that thing, right? So getting to the root of what we really want. Giving ourselves permission to want it, to feel good about wanting it, to feel worthy that we can have it.
And what do you think that is in this spiritual world? It's not okay to want more. You see a lot of very good helpers, coaches, therapists. They ask so little. They don't take care of themselves. What do you think that's the reason? What the reason might be?
I mean, I think this is the history I feel I've been studying in the last week since we spoke last. It's like, because we will always want more. Our desire, the desire for this tea might change, but the existence of desire in my life is not going anywhere. I think a lot of spiritual teachings, the ancient spiritual teachings, the thing that many of them have in common is changing our relationship to desire. I feel like that's being generous, but changing our relationship to desire so that we can have a different, so we're not dominated by it in the same way, controlled by it. But I think, at least in our contemporary interpretation of those ancient teachings, there has been a misunderstanding or a lie, I don't know which, that we can transcend desire, that we can reach a state where we no longer have desire. And that's just not true. It's not true. As long as we're human, we will always have desire. And so the question is, what do we want to do with those desires? And I don't think bhakti is the only path, but my story is one story of what it looks like to, I'm saying purify, not in a puritanical sense, but get to the heart of, the essence of what the desire is and what it's for. And that it's for life. Desire is guiding us to what we are uniquely here to receive and contribute in the name of our healing and anyone else's healing or expression. I think these words are kind of the same thing. And for some of us, it's our contribution that's most important. And for some of us, it's our receiving that's most important. And for many of us, it's both. They're both most important.
Mm-hmm.
So we're maturing as a society, as a spiritual society. We're learning how to be in the world and still stay with ourselves, still be present and conscious. And on the flip side, as spiritual seekers, we're learning how to not escape. We didn't come here to escape. We came here for a reason.
Mm.
And to claim that reason, so we don't have to keep repeating the same challenges over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
We get new ones.
Yeah, all the time. But what I'm seeing is that that a lot of people don't know how their brain works, how their subconscious works, how you can be tricked in certain pathways or certain behaviors that doesn't serve you. And
Absolutely.
the teachings about the universal laws, how they work through us, with us, how the subconscious works. Not a lot of people know about this, because and it's so essential, because that's the energy. That's the subconscious, is the energy which rules, and where the programming is, and where also the desire lies. Yes. Your friend.
This is he stands in for a lot of things. But oh, you know what's funny? I didn't even realize this was here, but I have to show this to you now because he was covering it up. So this is, anyone watching, this is my stuffed dinosaur that I've had almost the whole time I've been in business, who regularly stands in for my subconscious, but also other parts. And then when I picked him up, I realized that just behind him is this picture of me as I think I was 4.
Oh, wow.
With my favorite childhood stuffed animal. So it's like same, you know, we need these tools when we're little.
Yeah.
I don't think we stop needing them. Although maybe we get more sophisticated about doing them internally. Not everybody needs the stuffed animal on the outside. But yeah, I think I loved what you said about, I don't know if these are the words that you use, but what I heard and felt when you were speaking was the subconscious has desires that are acting out.
Yeah.
And we need to, if we're not listening to them consciously, we'll be run by them.
Yeah.
Our subconscious is that powerful. But if we're conscious and we can have a conversation, just like I do with my 2-year-old, use your words as much as you can. Tell me what you're wanting. You know, our subconscious is going to tell us very clearly in words that we can understand what that part of us is really seeking.
Mm-hmm.
Comfort, safety, protection, shelter, love, approval, care, nurturing.
More.
More, yes. Pleasure, delight,
yeah.
Play, attention, life, fun. And that, being willing to listen to that part. And that's probably also, like, I think that desire, I think about desire as a portal to God. I think about desire as a portal to power. I think about desire as a portal to healing. It's also a portal to, to these inner parts of ourselves. It's a way to access a different awareness of our psyche and all these different voices that are operating. If we're not interested in desire because we're busy transcending it, we'll just ignore all those voices. And if we're not aware of that, then they'll just get sneaky and find other ways to exhibit. But if we're really genuinely interested in our own desire, that's one of the powerful benefits, is like, oh yeah, tell me about you. Tell me what you want. And then we get better at asking the people in our lives what they want. Healing of the world right there. Anytime, this is something that I've just been learning in the last like month, I would say, that when I can get really glitchy when I have family in town. Sometimes when I have, it's always has to do with relationship. It's like when I get overwhelmed, and what comes out of me is just like meltdown. And it's sort of like I'm throwing an overwhelmed tantrum. I'm not always necessarily angry, but I'm just like, I let it build up and build up and build up. And then I'm like, I just can't, I have to just back out of everything and cancel everything. And I'm, or do it and feel terrible about it. It's a very old pattern for me, something that I've done since I was very little. And just in the last month, I've realized that what's happening in those moments is that I have fallen into the old illusion that what I want doesn't matter. No one's asking me. That's always part of what's going on. And not that they need to, I get to do that, but there's some that's like contributing to the illusion. There's some agreement, tacit agreement that supports me believing that I can't have what I want, that I can't even want what I want, that it's not even unimportant. It's rejected. It's like not good enough what I want. It's been judged and turned out.
So you're seeking the approval of that on the outside, and you get it. Because you're looking through the glass of, they never see me. It's never about fuck.
Yeah. There's a role.
People are reacting like that. And then why me?
Well, I think it's the tacit agreement is that I will play this role.
Mm-hmm. But isn't it interesting?
Part of the identity of the role is that her desires are not relevant.
Yeah, but isn't it amazing that you are very intelligent, you are teaching a lot of people this kind of work, and you fall into that trap again?
This is why I teach this work. This is why I'm exceptional at teaching this work. I don't know. I mean, I learned this when I was teaching high school math. I was a great math student. I never struggled to learn math until I was studying topology in college. I was studying advanced graduate math in my undergraduate class. Then I was completely overwhelmed, but it just made sense to me. A teacher could show 2 or 3 or 5 examples and I would just get it. That stupid pedagogical technique worked for me. So when I became a math teacher, I actually was not set up for success, because what worked for me absolutely did not work for almost anyone else. So I really had to work hard to learn how to teach, because I had not had to work hard to learn. Whereas with this, this is something that I have really dedicated, I would say, my life to learning. It has not come naturally. I did not come by it. I didn't have parents who just empowered me in this way. And so as a result, everything that I've done to help liberate myself is something that I can offer in a very conscious and explicit way to others. And it's what's beautiful about, I just want to say this, like what I've learned in the last month is that this lifelong pattern of mine, the remedy is simply asking myself, Jesse, what do you want? What do you want to experience? And it makes me cry often. Most recently, or the time at least that I'm remembering, I was like hanging out with friends and the logistics Los Angeles friend gathering, like the logistics were just snowballing. And in the wake of it all, there was one person whose birthday was kind of the motivation for this particular gathering. And so that was the excuse, that was the trigger that had me step into the caretaker role that like didn't have desires. And as soon as I like saw it, I was like, wow, I'm miserable. That's not the vibe. Oh yeah, I had a whole vision for how this was going to go. My vision was that we were going to be in ecstasy today. Like full pleasure. That's the name of the game. Why bother being together if that's specifically for us? We are pleasure queens. Let's be in our pleasure. And it doesn't work if we're like stressed out and everybody's trying to get there right at the right moment and like sacrifice our pleasure on the way. It's got to be pleasurable. I want to get the nice hot coffee, like the right latte on the way. I want to drive the scenic route. I want to have the most delicious conversations in the car. Like that's what I signed up for. When we get there, that'll be great too. But it won't be great if I've sacrificed this thing the whole way. And here's this is like the most mundane example, but also really profound, that once I claimed that and said that, it recalibrated everyone in the group.
Mm-hmm.
My desire matters. Not only for me, for everyone.
Yeah.
Me having my desire matters. And it's not so much that like I'm a petulant child. I want this, give it to me. That's not the energy. It's, I have this desire, I'm going to put it on the altar. But it's worthy of the altar. It's worthy of the expression. It's worthy. Now it's up there. Okay, now that the space is here, what's possible now? Oh, actually, all of what I just said I wanted is possible. I just needed to choose it.
Yeah, you had to speak it out. You had to create it with your words.
And I do think that there's a part of it also. I really constantly, when I think about desire these days, I'm thinking about fantasy, preferences, and boundaries. These are kind of new words for me, like just in the last year, but boundaries is coming up as I talk about it with you, that in order to have that, I have to have some boundaries that I'm not willing to ignore my desires. I might be willing to let some of them go once I've expressed them, seen them, looked at it. I don't know yet.
Mm-hmm.
But the boundary is like, my desires matter. No one can talk me out of that.
So the boundary with self.
Mm-hmm. Always. That's our next topic.
I love that. We can do this every month.
Uh-huh.
I love to have to come there, because that the boundary with self was also something you told me.
Mm.
And I loved it. I love it. It looks a lot like the cards from Kim Krantz.
I know what you mean. I do. Maybe I'll I have friends who are friends with her, so maybe I'll find her and.
Wait, sorry, I'm still here, but I just had to. I forgot to put the. Sorry.
Technology.
He's working again. I'm back again.
Yes.
Now, with boundary with self, it's very important to have that. To not let the condition guide you, but the desire and the love that you are guide you.
Yeah, planting seeds for boundaries conversation.
Yeah, we're gonna do that. We're almost an hour in, so we're gonna close now again. Or do you have something else to say about?
No, I feel really grateful. What a beautiful exploration and conversation.
Thank you very much again.
I really wanted to do this with you.
Yeah, me too. So that was a real desire.
Yes.
And you answered that with your desire. So I really
Yes.
appreciate you.
Yeah, me too, Yvonne.
Thank you. Thank you very much. En jij bedankt weer voor het luisteren en tot de volgende keer.